Okay, well, hello, sixth grade. Today we are moving on into lesson 2.7. 2.7 is going to be divided up into a couple of parts. Um, and so this is the first part, what we're going to call 2.7a. All right? And you see me paused here on this rule that says when dividing by a whole number, move the decimal straight up. Write that down, put it to memory, do something. You can pause it, write it down, put it in your notes, whatever you need to do, but you want to write this down. When dividing by a whole number, move the decimal straight up. Take a screenshot, do something so you have that rule to refer to. When dividing by a whole number, move the decimal straight up. So I look at this first example, 25 and 8/10 divided by 6. Well, I'm dividing by a whole number. So the rule says when dividing by a whole number, move the decimal straight up. So I'm going to take the decimal and I'm going to move it straight up. Once that's all about making sure the decimal is in the right spot. Once I've done that, I can just divide this like it's 258 divided by 6 and follow this pattern of divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, start over until there's nothing left to bring down. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think, well, 6 can't go into 2. But 6 can go into 25. I'm thinking about my 6 times table. 6 can go into 25 4 times. Okay? And then I'm going to think, okay, 6 times 4. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. Because remember, it's divide. 6 can go into 25 4 times. Then it's multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Then the rule tells me to subtract. And so that's going to be 25 minus 24. Well, 25 minus 24 is 1. After I subtract, the rule tells me to bring down and then start over again. So I can bring down the 8, and then I start over again. And I'm back to division. 6 can go into 18 3 times. And as a 6th grader, you should know that 6 times 3 is 18, which means you should be able to stop that problem right there. Now, the next part of this is this next set. Once again, I want you to screenshot it, write it down, pause the video, do whatever it is you need to do to get those rules written down. When dividing by a number with a decimal, because sometimes you are dividing by numbers that already have a decimal in them. It's not like that first example we did where there was a whole number. When dividing by a number with a decimal, step 1, move the decimal and the divisor all the way to the right. Step 2, move the decimal and the dividend the same number of places. Step 3, move the decimal straight up. So we have divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, start over. All right, so I'm going to pause it. You need to write those 3 steps down. Write that list down if you need to. But once again, when dividing by a number with a decimal, step 1, move the decimal and the divisor all the way to the right. Step 2, move the decimal and the dividend the same number of places. Step 3, move the decimal straight up. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and start over. All right, and so pause that, write it down, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this out with a clean one so we can look at some rules that involve with that. So first of all, let's look at this one here. Let's go, we're going to say it's 7/10 going into 36 and 53/100. We're going to follow those same rules of divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. But the first step told me I had to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. So this is my divisor, the number I'm dividing by, and I'm going to take that decimal and move it all the way to the right, and that's going to be 7. Since I moved this decimal one place, step 2 tells me to move the decimal and the dividend the same number of places. So since I moved this one twice, I'm going to move that one twice. And that's actually going to then become 365 and 3/10. So it's the same numbers, but all I did was move the decimal here to the right one place, and since I moved this one place, I moved that one place. So now I can just divide. The divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, start over. Well, 7 cannot go into 3, but it can go into you know what, I just realized something, and we're going to pause. We're going to change this 3 to a 4. We're going to change that 3 to a 4. I just realized I wrote down the wrong number. My apologies, 6th grade. But now it's all the same, moving the decimal. We just had to change that number. 7 cannot go into 3, but it can go into 36 5 times. Multiply, 5 times 7 is 35. Subtract, 36 minus 35 is 1. I'm going to bring the 5 down. 7 can go into 15 2 times. Now once I have my decimal established, you want to move that straight up to where it's there. 7 can go into 15 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. Now I'm ready to subtract. 15 minus 14. Well, 15 minus 14 is 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring this 4 down. And I ask myself, well, how many times can 7 go into 14? Well, 7 can go into 14 twice. And as a 6th grader, I should know there will be none left over, because 7 times 2 is 14. And I end up with 52 and 2/10. Now, what if I get something that looks like this? 7/100, 0.07, going into 32 and 9/10. Well, the rule tells me first I've got to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. So this one has to move once, twice to be all the way to the right. And that, once again, just like the first example, becomes a 7. Since I move this decimal 2 places to the right, I have to move this decimal 2 places to the right. But now I've got an empty space there. Okay? Now I've got an empty space there. Okay? And I've got to fill that in with a 0. Okay? And since there's an empty space there, I've got to fill it in with something. And it gets filled in with a 0. That's 3,290. All right? So I just go back to the regular division. 7 cannot go into 3, but 7 can go into 32 4 times. I do 4 times 7, and that's 28. Then I do 32 minus 28. I can't do 2 minus 8. I borrow from the 3, make it a 2, make the 2 a 12. I do 12 minus 8, which is 4. Okay? Then I go ahead and bring the 9 down. Okay? I'm happy with 4 as a leftover because I'm dividing by 7, and 7 is bigger than 4. 7 can go into 49 7 times, because I know that 7 times 7 when I multiply equals 49. Well, now it's time to subtract. 49 minus 49 is 0. As long as I can subtract, I have to bring down. So I bring down that 0. And as long as I bring down, I have to start over. 7 can go into 0 times. Now, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and continue. 0 times 7 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay? But I should be able to set that up, and I should be able to, as a 6th grader, realize that 0 times 7 is 0. 0 minus 0. And should just be able to stop there at 470. All right, we're going to do one more. Let me pull the board over. The last one we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do 3 8/10, and we're going to take that into 34.2. All right. The rule tells me to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. So I'm going to take it and make that a 38. Since I moved this decimal one place, I'm going to move this decimal one place. And that's going to make this 342. Now, remember what we did with the 2 decimal division? 38 becomes 40. And I'm going to use 4. Because I think that the number of times that 4 can go into 34, since 4 can't go into 3, is the same number of times that 38 can go into 342. Because we know that 38 can't go into 3, 48 can't go into 34. Well, 4 can go into 34 8 times. Because I know that 4 times 8 is 32. Okay? So since 4 times 8 is 32, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try 38 times 8. Well, 8 times 8 is 64. Put the 4 down. Carry the 6. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 6 is 30. I get 304. Well, that's where I have to make a decision now. I can either put 8 and 304 here, or I'm not sure how close that is. I'm going to go ahead, this might be a little small, and try 38 times 9. Well, 9 times 8 is 72. Put the 2 down, carry the 7. 9 times 3 is 27, plus the 7 is 34. Well, look at that. 342, 342. I can now be confident that 38 can go into 342 9 times. Of course, I don't put it over the 3 because it's not going into 3 9 times. I don't put it over the 4 because it's not going into 34 9 times. It's going into 342 9 times. 38 times 9, 342. 9 times 38, 342. 342 minus 342 is 0. My final answer is 9. All right, 6th grade, have a good day. Bye.